back to another episode of Unfiltered Wrestling. As by ever, we're joined by Tim. Hi, Tim. How you doing?
Hi, Lee. How are you? I'm pretty good.
Yeah, not too bad, thanks, Tim. Uh, Obviously, it's our weekly review of Raw and SmackDown, and it's been a bit of a strange week again, especially on Raw.
Yeah, rewatching Raw and making notes again for this week has left me with a lot of question marks at the moment.
Yeah, it's weird with Raw because, as we're going to get into in a minute, they're doing like 2 or 3 storylines with one character at a time, and it's hard to follow where it's going, but I don't know if I'm enjoying it or not.
Yeah, there are some things I'm really enjoying on Raw. Some of the character development is really good, but I'm seeing things such as there's 4 matches on the whole of Raw, whereas SmackDown had 6. So I don't understand why we're getting less matches on Raw. Certainly just 4. It's not, to me, that's just not good enough.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to make sense. So obviously the show kicked off with a returning CM Punk.
Yeah, he wasn't pulling any punches this time round. He was all guns blazing. The comment of a Timu CM Punk had me going, though. That I found quite funny.
Yeah, is this sort of Punk we've seen before being AEW? Because I remember when he come back after injury in AEW, he was a pissed off Punk, and we're sort of getting a pissed off Punk again.
Yeah, I think we are. But again, as we'll probably lead towards it, I don't know where we're going with it in the long run. I see what the short-term plan is, but I don't know how we fix this long-term.
Yep, so that promo led into an attack by the Heyman faction, which we still haven't got a name for yet. Caused Sammy and Jay to come out.
Yeah, wielding chairs towards. It was the only way to keep Braun and Seth away. It's the first time I think I've seen the baby faces with a clear numerical advantage, which says how strong this group is. You said it the other week, it does look like it's leaning into a 3-on-3. I'm not sure when you're going to do it. Possibly Money in the Bank, but I'm still unsure about where you go with that thought process. And then you have to think of who the third person is. I mean, I've got a really left field answer.
Yeah, so do I now. I know I've been gunning for Logan Paul, but I think my mind changed it well. So I reckon CM Punk.
I get it. I really do. I just don't see it's going to pull off. Just too much of a face character for him to pull this off. They've managed to slowly turn Seth heel. I don't think you turn Punk heel that easily.
I just think this is part of the master plan for the favour with Heyman. And what led me more to it was later on with the segment where Jay was attacked. And I get they're going towards the tag match, but Punk and Sammy were there. And we had Sammy's little segment where he was saying how much he doesn't trust Punk. And Punk's like, don't worry, you can rely on me. I just feel that's all the ruse. And I just think it will shock the wrestling world to have Punk and Seth actually team up after all the real-life heat that's happened over the last couple of years. I think to get them working together will just blow everyone's mind.
Yeah, that would definitely, if that happened, the internet would melt down. There's no question about that one. It would be interesting to see if they could pull it off. I'm not sure they could, and that's the reason they'll stay away from it. But again, it would be really interesting if they could do that. Mine is far left field, and it occurred to me earlier as I was driving down in the car. The original Evolution, or Evolution, whichever way you want to go with it, had your top star, the Muscles, and then they had a 3rd generation star. And I was thinking to myself, yeah, but I don't know very many third generation or 2nd generation stars. And I might have missed this point. But it then occurred to me, NXT. And then it went to me, oh, what about Lexi King on NXT, aka Brian Pillman Jr.? I think that would work amazing. I mean, he is a great wrestler. He's been, from what I watched a long time ago, he was working really well on NXT. He would definitely be the right person for me to make number 3. He's a big guy. He's also got that pedigree because he comes from the Pillman family, and he has previously worked at AEW before, so he gets more of the heat going.
And sort of on a backstage thing, Heyman and Pillman were quite good because Pillman did a lot for ECW. So I think Heyman would take him under his wing because he's got a lot of respect for the family. So that does actually make a lot of sense. If you've got Heyman as like your Ric Flair character, and then like you said, Seth as your big heel, got your muscles, that does make a lot of sense. I actually can see a lot of sense in your theory there.
I could be well off, absolutely well off with that point. But if you were going to have like a second generation, that's where I would go with that thought. Somebody that's been around a little while and wouldn't be so bad as getting that rub, but would also, people would know who he is.
Yeah, no, it does make a lot of sense. Sticking with Jay and stuff as well, obviously we had, I know we're going to go out of order here, but we had Gunther, for whatever reason, come out and announce all of a sudden on a Raw there will be a title shot on the 9th of July.
Yeah, that one's another one that's done my head in. You kind of sidestepping the whole of Money in the Bank. How's that going to work? Because potentially you could have neither of these two walking away with the championship after Money in the Bank, because the person could have cashed in the belt. So I think that's a little bit silly. It does definitely put into shade the idea that you thought that Logan Paul was going to win this, because there's absolutely no way he can, like, Gunther goes after Logan Paul after that point.
No, exactly. And it's really weird as well, the lack of Logan Paul we've had over the last couple of weeks. For a title fight building up to a special show, where's he been? I know we had the off-screen attack, as in after Raw. He hasn't appeared on Raw this week. He obviously has got to be on Raw next week. So he's had one appearance for his big title shot. It doesn't make sense to me at all.
Yeah, I'll come to the Saturday night main event in a bit. It just doesn't feel like it's a very good build. I do think they've thrown this together. It reinforces the idea that I think Jay will almost certainly win that match to set up, dare I say, another Gunther match. But how do you book that? Bearing in mind, Gunther had a good, strong match against McAfee, but again, as we said the other week, it went too long. He needs to win again to show the momentum, but I wouldn't give the belt back to him after Jay. I said to you, I think it's got to go to Seth. There's no other way in which you go with that.
As you said, it's one of those moments where that's a big question coming off of Raw. That it's just really hard to work out.
That is the issue I currently have with Raw at the moment. It is very hodgepodge. There are areas that I think need cleaning up. This is one of the areas, a little bit more tidying up with the Seth moment. I think that needs just a little bit more tweaking, just a little bit, not a great deal, but a little bit to make it a much better one. As if the 4 matches is never a good sign for me.
Yeah. So after the opening segment,
they booked the match for Saturday night, which is the tag match, which I would expect that match to be quite a good match. We'll come on to why it probably should headline it, but at the same time, after other matches have been decided, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure where we go with this one.
Yeah, and it does seem weird to put on a match of that magnitude onto a free. I get why it's a free event on YouTube for most of the world. So it's going to be nice. And I think that's another reason why Logan Paul's on the show, just because it's Logan Paul and he's going to bring across that audience. But it seems like a bit of a wasted opportunity, because that type of match seems more for a Money in the Bank or a PLE.
Yeah, no, agreed. Absolutely. And bearing in mind, we've got Crown Jewels as well. We're literally now, or Night of Champions, which one? Sorry. I think we're just going to have to try and roll with it. I think we've got a few of these coming up. There are some strange matches. Yeah, very peculiar.
Yeah. And then that led into...
We had the Penta versus Chad match. I'm not going to agree with you. I love Penta. Watching him is absolutely fantastic. I like what they did with him. I like the story they then had with him, where he beats Chad pretty easily. I also like the fact that we had the Mexican Destroyer as the finish as well. From the top rope, he jumps down and he jumps straight into the move. it worked really well for me.
Yeah, that move I did like. And as I said, I don't know if I was a bit too harsh on Penta on the last podcast. I still don't like his overall presentation, but he does have really good moments. So I find him more like a highlight reel. If I watch him on a highlight reel, I think great. But if I watch a full match, I'm still not connecting with him.
Again, and what we'll do now is it's worth actually jumping to the next point. He then turns up later and gets involved with the Judgment Day, which crosses the streams. So we're now left going more and more confused about this. I think they're presenting him pretty well at the moment. Unless he's got to have a good match, I would be very surprised if he's not in the Money in the Bank match, because, yeah, why wouldn't you have that guy in there? So I'm impressed with what they did with him. The match with Chad was very good. It wasn't very long, but I don't think it needed to be. It was solid enough. So that is the first match of the night. We've already had quite a big build up. We've then got a very strange and like kooky tag match between the Creed brothers and the War Raiders with the New Day as commentary, who are great in commentary. They really are great. I love watching those. But the tag match felt really weird and out of place here.
Yeah, but is this a way of going back to what you were saying in our titles prediction? You've got to have these clunky matches to keep the new, because you said the New Day are, you think are going to be on a long title reign, but if you had them fighting near enough every week, it's going to get redundant, the fact. So you put on these weird matches, have them at commentary for the gold and keeping the heat going, and that way you can prolong their title reign, like you said. Because I agree with you, it's just it was a weird match to have in a weird placement. As you said, out of a 4-match show as well, it just didn't seem to fit in with the flow of the night.
My problem is the New Day are quite clearly feuding with the War Raiders, but the War Raiders took a loss. So why would they go anywhere near the tag team titles? So we're now left with, well, what's the point in having them as feuding? And that's why I'm confused. If the War Raiders won and we go and do a different conversation, yes, that makes more sense. But having the Creed brothers, and look, don't get me wrong, the Creed brothers are fantastic wrestlers. They look great. They come across as really good, solid heel tag team. But I don't understand how it works in the feud front.
So then after that,
the Gunther, we had the AJ and Balor match, which felt very much like I was watching a NJPW match.
Yeah, I enjoyed this match.
Absolutely. Good, strong strikes. Both wrestlers looking really back to some of their best wrestling. Yes, there were a few queaky bits that could have done with tweaking a little bit, but overall the match was fantastic.
And was you okay with the interference towards the end? We noticed Judgment Day, we know that was coming. Again, as you said, Penta turning up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's led to it's continued the story in the sense that we're now going to get a Penta and AJ tag match versus Finn and JD, which could be really, really good fun. I'm not sure how that's going to work in the long term, because we both felt that Finn would be the guy to beat Dominic. I'm really starting to change my mind now. I think there is a good chance that it could well end up being someone like AJ Styles now.
Obviously, there was a segment earlier on where Dom was telling Finn was like, I sort this problem out, and Dom never showed up with him or anything like that. Do you think, obviously, that's to try and keep the interest, and maybe it is going to lead to a Finn-Dom feud?
Well, this is it. This is where we said we've got so many stories interlinked. Where do you go? Where do you not go? It's almost like you could go any way and the match would be perfectly fine.
Yeah, no, agreed with that. And then after that was the attack on Jay, like we said.
Yes. So this also sets up a match for next week's Raw, which is Bron Breakker versus Jey Uso. I love the idea of this match, but ideally Bron should be winning that match. And at the same time, Jay's the world champion. You don't job him out that easily. He needs to win that match too. So this match is going to end in a DQ. There's no way this ends in a clean finish at all.
Might be the night that we see the third member, because I don't see it happening at main event, Saturday night main event, because they've got the tag match and it's the Logan Paul Jay. And other than what I originally thought a couple of weeks ago, which I completely changed my mind on, I don't see where these guys fit into interfering in the Logan Paul match. So maybe Monday is going to be the night with the third.
Yeah, that would be where my process is. I think that's, you leave it till either this week's Raw or the coming Raw or the Raw after Saturday night main event.
You know, exactly. And then after that attack, we went into
a Becky promo. Now, I've gone backwards and forwards with people on this. Some people thought it was good, like myself, whereas others have said, why have we done this? It feels very whiny. It feels very samey. It feels very much like the same stuff that John Cena's saying on SmackDown. I disagree. I think what she's saying actually makes sense. She has been very much for the people, and people did turn on her. I remember the Rhea Ripley match where she went in as a face and Rhea was cheered. So I can understand the storyline behind it. She's now got to just back it up with some wins.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a decent promo. I always like Becky's mic work. With us saying that she's leading into probably a feud with Bayley, do you think that was also to help elevate Bayley as a super face? Because we could get a whiny Becky, then everyone's going to really pop for Bayley.
I don't know. As I said before WrestleMania, I was said that Bayley was turning heel. That's where they were going. I don't know whether Bayley needs it. We know they're both going to have great matches. They've got such great chemistry. There's no way the matches will be bad. I think you just need a justification on why she turned on Lyra, and this probably put the full stop on it. Main event on Raw, which was yet again the women. As we've said, the women matches have pretty much been carrying Raw for a little while. All four competitors were fantastic. Io looked great. Rhea was crushing people. And I'm absolutely loving Roxanne Perez and Julia. We'll come on to Julia later. Yeah. But especially that, I'm really pleased that they both come up. I think they both look like they should be in the division. I wouldn't be too bothered if either one of them was challenging for a title within the next couple of months, because they're both looking that good. And again, I wouldn't have minded if they'd both won it as a tag team over the match. But obviously Rhea and Io picked the match up. It's the ending that we all suspected, which was Rhea and Io celebrating, but looking at the belt.
Well, like we kept saying, it was a very questionable Raw, but it did end with a decent main event.
Yeah, as I said, the Raw's kind of like that. Some great matches. The AJ and Finn, fantastic. And the women's absolutely nailing it again. Just, where are we going with some of these with these stories? I think we just need to flesh them out a little bit better.
SmackDown, which I thought was quite a decent show again.
Without a doubt. Again, SmackDown's, if we were having a war, SmackDown's winning the war quite clearly. Firstly, 6 matches on the card. I've got down the first big point being the women's triple threat for the Money in the Bank. I was convinced this was Chelsea Green pinning Michin. That way we protect Alexa Bliss. I thought that works. It was a really strange mix-up. I thought, ooh, these two need to win. But it was a really solid match. I can't argue with that. And Alexa picking up the pinfall.
Yeah, and again, I don't know if it's because of all the outside stuff with Alexa, us, like, there was rumours that she weren't going to re-sign, she weren't coming back. They used her in the Royal Rumble, and then they had her for months. Maybe are they giving her this big push to sort of reconcile with what happened at the beginning of the year? She didn't really need to win, as you said, because it's Alexa Bliss, but it puts her in the Money in the Bank. And from a segment from later on, I feel like they're going somewhere with Charlotte and Bliss, but I don't know where and why at the moment.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that will probably, I was going to mention that anyway. Yeah, we had the big segment between Alexa and then Charlotte. She's had a match announced for next week. her triple threat involving for Money in the Bank is a really strange one again. I'm not sure who you can pick for that win. For anyone that doesn't know, Julia was actually drafted to SmackDown, which shocked me because I thought we were going to get a Rhea Julia feud. But she's turned up at SmackDown and she's involved with Charlotte and Zelina Vega in the next Money in the Bank qualifier. Any of those three could win, and I'll probably be all right with it. I'd like to see Julia get some nods, but should Zelina Vega be taking a pinfall at this stage?
Yeah, it is a tough one. And again, it points to how good the women roster is because, like you said, it's anyone's, and it's will Bliss cost Flair for Julia to win? Because, like you said, it seems weird taking Julia off of Raw, putting her on SmackDown, and then for her to not qualify for Money in the Bank the following week. It wouldn't make sense. So there's got to be some form of shenanigans leading up, which involves Julia, Charlotte, and Bliss. So, which I'm happy for. Yeah. I think that makes a good.
Going to freshen it up, which is what they needed badly.
Yeah, no, 100%. So after that was
we had Fraxium. Fraxium win for their fourth match in a row. Another good, solid match. There were a few dodgy spots throughout the match that I noticed at the beginning. I think that's purely and simply because Fraxium were going so fast that they missed a couple. I think Nathan Frazier missed a reversal into a DDT that kind of looked a little bit, but after that they got their gear together and they looked great. And they've been given a title shot next week. So again, do we see a title shot this soon into the Street Profits run though?
Yeah, and going back to the beginning of the match, like I said, I think we've come to have high expectations of Fraxium, so we do notice more because they've been so solid. I think we do notice more when things start. But we've got to remember they're a new, fresh team from NXT, as in on the bigger stage of SmackDown. So they're going to have bad nights. We all have bad nights at the office, and it wasn't bad enough that it affected the whole of the match. And like you said, it was good they got their tag team opportunities. Like you said, I think it's too soon. So, but maybe with what happened at the end and Motor City Machine Guns turning up, that might play a factor into next week's match, tag team match as well.
My worry is we're going to now have another multi-man match. I don't think we need that right now. I think we need a solid 2-on-2 match, and we'll go from that point. But we'll see. Again, we'll see how it goes. Maybe I would have probably given a week or two off and then gone elsewhere with it. And then maybe you have a little bit of a DQ finish with the match then going on at Night of Champions.
Yeah, and are you here for another DIY Motor City Machine Gun match? Because that obviously looks like where that's heading.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I could watch those two teams go all the time. Yeah. Bring it to me.
Totally agree. Yeah, totally agree. I love, as I said to you previously, I'm a big Motor City Machine Gun fan from the TNA days. So anytime they get TV time, I love.
Yeah, I'm the same. Absolutely love it to pieces.
And then that moved on to
R-Truth's promo. And I have to say, I was watching it on my phone in the field and laughing to myself while he played it as straight as you could go. I have to say, he's brilliant. He is absolutely brilliant. What he was saying was actually making sense, yet coming across as really stupid as well. So, yeah, bring it for me.
And I'm really glad they didn't goofball it the whole way, because he sort of come to realisation at the end that this ain't the John Cena that he knew, and he's got to beat it back into him. So he did recognise that Cena's changed, where I thought the way it was going from the start, he was going to completely deny any change in John Cena. So I like the way they goofballed around it, but they still put the serious element on the end. But I think we're going to see a lot of conflict from Cena with him himself within that match, as in, because I know he's a bad guy in the hill, but I think Truth, it's going to bring out a side of him where he's going to sort of battle himself to how badly he beats up Truth.
It's not for the belt, so you could almost get away with a fluky win. It's not. I don't think that will happen. I think it's almost going to be a squash match. I think John's going to beat him to the pulp, and then Truth will come back later. But right now, I can't see John not winning that match.
Yeah, but like I said, I think it's going to be a very, like, John hitting Truth and then sort of telling him to stay down and Truth getting back up and John hitting him again. And so that battle with John inside himself to how much he's got to take it to a dark place to beat Truth, which I think will be a good side of John's heel character to see. I think he needs a little bit of emotion.
And no, absolutely agree. I think you do need that extra bit of emotion from him, whether that emotion is now hate, but it definitely needs to come out.
Yeah. So after that segment led to...
We had Aleister Black beating Carmelo Hayes again, which is probably the only, I would say, spot on the whole of SmackDown. I love these two. They are really good together. They have a great chemistry. But did I need to see it for a second week in a row without the idea of, I don't know, maybe a stipulation involved? And the match for this is on a DQ, so it's not like Black's benefiting from this at all.
But like I said, maybe they're building up to something and they just need to keep the ticking over, so just to keep it fresh in people's minds. The Miz obviously took the...
Mass.
Yeah, so that protected Carmelo.
Yeah, I didn't realise he'd taken it now for 4 weeks in a row, which is impressive, let's be honest.
So, I agree with you. Like I said, it's decent. Them two have got good chemistry, so it's a decent match to watch. But he's getting a bit repetitive, but because of these loads of... It's, as we spoke before in the week, it's near enough every 2 weeks there's some big event. Maybe they're just having to keep things ticking over till they get to the big spots.
Yeah, that can only be it. With the fact that they announced, and I'll mention it now because I actually put this question down. Aleister Black's involved in his Money in the Bank match with LA Knight and Shinsuke Nakamura, which sounds like a great match. I don't think these three people could have a bad match if they tried. But Shinsuke cuts a promo saying how much he dislikes both of these guys. And I thought to myself, why is Shinsuke cutting that promo if he doesn't win? Because he shouldn't win. Out of the three people, he's the one person that shouldn't win. Yeah, and halfway through the show, we had Solo winning his Money in the Bank match, which I didn't pick. Of the people involved in that match, I think he was the guy least worth the title shot. I thought we'd get Rey Fenix to go through. What it does tell me is if Rey Fenix is out, then Penta is almost certainly going to be in. And Jimmy probably would have been a good foil on that match. I'm not sure Solo is going to be suited to a ladder match, if I'm honest.
I actually think Solo's going to win Money in the Bank. And he's going to use it to cash in on Jacob. And it protects John's title and it protects Jay to go off with his program for Seth. So the cash in for Money in the Bank is going to be used on the United States title, I believe. And that gives the feud we were talking about.
Yeah, that's a waste for me. This should be going for one of the top tier titles. If that's the case, that's bad writing. Really bad.
Because
writing
I can't see like we keep predicting, they're going to a Seth J run to get the next champion's going to be Seth for John's keeping his title, like we said before, probably to like November. You either get your Money in the Bank person, whoever wins, to wait all that time, or they use it on something else. And I've just got a feeling it's going to be Solo on Jacob. And so I think Solo is going to win Money in the Bank.
See, I can't see it. I think whoever has the belt will probably hold it till January.
Right.
Or the briefcase, sorry, till January, because that works. You keep hold of it. You can probably build a pretty good Cody Rhodes feud for that point. Or on Raw, you could probably build a reasonable Seth Rollins feud going up that way for long term. This Money in the Bank shouldn't be a 5-minute conversation. This should be an in and out situation. It needs to be done like probably long term.
What do you think of Jacob's new name, which just totally left my head? I don't begin with an M.
So JC Mate.
That's it.
Very weird. Very weird, that change. Especially bearing in mind they named his name during the pay-per-view or the PLE.
Yeah, Michael Cole made it very clear who that was.
Yes, absolutely.
So it was a weird one. Yeah, but I agree with you. I don't see Solo a good fit for a ladder match, and I've just said I think he's going to win the whole thing, but that's obviously going to be with JC's help and stuff. People said he would look like a mini Rhino, so we might have the spot where Solo climbs on his back and he hoists him up the ladder to get the briefcase.
Yeah, maybe. I think probably I'm looking at the point of, while I can probably see where the SmackDown lot's coming through, it'd be curious to see how the Raw lineup goes. This led to the attempted attack by LA Knight and the subsequent JC Matto versus LA Knight match. My God, does he look good, JC Matto? Down as a big guy, suplexes, and then a standing moonsault, which, like, Jesus, those are big combinations.
And in a way, it sort of seems like he's going to outshine Solo as well. So Jacob's coming outshine Solo. He's now on Solo's team and he's out shining Solo. I actually feel sorry for Solo because they keep pairing him up with guys that are really good, which keeps pushing him back down the ladder. Because we sort of said within a year Solo should be ready for a title, a big title. I don't see it now. These guys are coming in because they're overstepping him, I think. So I don't know if it's good for Solo what they keep doing.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't know how you work this. As it is, JC Matto probably can get away with it a little bit more because I've not heard him on the microphone, so I don't know what he's like cutting good promo. That'll hold him back for now. What a finishing move, though. That spinning suplex, that reverse spinning suplex, crazy. No wonder that's going to cause issues.
But he's a new Japan guy, and we know what they're like over there for their style of wrestling. So it's good to see on American English TV that style sort of being brought back over. And like you said, yeah, that move's going to devastate a lot of people.
Which took us, as I said, Nakamura. Did you notice Naomi in the background of the Jade and Tiffany build-up? Naomi was in the back of that, both of those angles.
No, I missed that. That's smart, though. That's clever.
Yes. See, I noticed her with Nia Jax, and I thought, oh. And it wasn't until someone pointed out to me that that she was in the background of the Jade and Tiffany confrontation, which I thought, oh, well, that's interesting.
No, it's very good. And it's like we were saying earlier, it's like we were saying on previous episodes, Naomi's doing really well with his character.
Yes, and I think she's got to win. She's got to win Money in the Bank.
Yeah, no, 100% agree with that. So did that lead on to the main event?
Yeah, so that followed up. That followed up to the Tiffany Nia Jax match. My God, did they go hard at each other?
I don't usually like Nia Jax. She's won me over in this match.
I've actually enjoyed watching her of late. She is doing great work. The Annihilator from the middle rope with the pair. I cringed when I saw it. I went, ooh, that's going to hurt.
And she ate that chair.
So she's actually injured as a result of that chair shot. That chair shot hit her harder. She drew blood without blading. That's how hard she got hit with that chair. I wouldn't be surprised if she suffered a minor concussion with that.
And I also don't, obviously, as you just said, she's done it without blading, but I don't think that was an angle they were going for at all because they didn't concentrate on any of the colour. Usually, if they wanted colour in a match, the camera then focuses in. It's more like they were coming away because I think that wasn't meant to happen at all. But that just proved how committed she was, and that sort of, as I said, won me over. The only two spots I didn't really enjoy, and this is nitpicking, is obviously the Samoan drop onto the table that didn't break.
Yep, I'm with you with that. That looked really, for want of a word, it looked really naff, if I'm honest.
And then tables do the same. It happened with John the other week with Randy. John had to pop the side to make the table collapse, but that was about 10 seconds after he'd bounced off it. And after the Annihilator, when Tiffany didn't send it, she jumped up to do the suplex off the... I get why they had to do that quick at the ending, but I think she just got up too quick from the finish. They didn't look like she'd sold it, but they had to get to that point for the match to finish, so...
Yeah, I'm with you. I've got a third point that's thrown me right out. We're on a free episode on TV, and the PLE is kicked out for the first time. So Nia is the first person ever to kick out of that as a finisher, and that's on SmackDown. Why are we not doing this on a pay-per-view or a PLE or some major show? Why are we doing it just on SmackDown?
Again, now, with the Netflix era, PLEs ain't going to be as important as they used to be because no one's paying for the pay-per-view. So they're going to just be extended, better Raws and SmackDowns, but I don't think all the bigger events are going to happen on them now because it's sort of like a free TV for everything.
I get that, except whilst we in the UK get it on Netflix, in America it's still broadcast on cable TV, so it is still being shown on normal TV.
So that does make sense. Yeah, no, then it is a strange reason why not to keep that for PLE. Unless something bigger's coming.
That's it. That's the only reason. What I did want to say is, yet again, women on the main event. So it's not just Raw, it is the women on both sides. They're carrying the shows at times. And I think that says a lot about how the women are being treated nowadays. The stories in the women's divisions are definitely the ones that warrant the main event spots. They really do. I can't disagree with either one. It is quite difficult to say which match was better because they were both different and good in the same way. So I'm quite happy that the right people are getting the main events. We're not just going for name value, we're going for story value.
No, I totally agree with that. I'm going to say the SmackDown one was better because overall I had a better feeling watching SmackDown. So I left Raw feeling like a lot of questions. I left SmackDown thinking, yeah, I watched a really good show. So to me, again, this week, SmackDown comes out on top.
Yeah, I do. I think for the matches, though, I would probably say the Raw main event was just slightly better than the Tiffany and Nia Jax match. But that's like being really picky, like really, really picky.
And time to be picky again, Tim, because it's time for Tim's top talent of the week. So who have you got down for this week, Tim?
Do you know what? I've had for most of the day, it's definitely R-Truth. R-Truth has been my guy. However, going backwards and forwards, I'm going to go with Alexa Bliss. She's coming through. She's looking great in matches. She's starting to connect stories. So she is my top talent of the week.
Well, Tim, thank you very much. That was Raw and SmackDown, and I will see you in our next show where we've got an interesting topic to talk about.
Absolutely, Lee. I'll speak to you later.